Okay, everybody, I want to introduce you to Michael. He's my new friend here at the Access here at Litchfield. He's painting, obviously. Michael, how are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Great.
I'm doing great.
I'm Dave Clayton. I like to find extraordinarily talented people
Well,
and share their story with the world.
sure.
So
Yeah.
tell us about Mike.
Well, I've moved down here in this area about 5 years ago, and I paint quite frequently outdoors. That's my style of painting. Right now, I'm working with a palette knife and just trying to get this to a point where I can just leave it for a day and then go back into it and kind of finish it up. It's loosely painted, very suggestive. It's not like when I paint with a brush, I get a little bit more information, I guess, or color and stuff. But the color with the palette knife is very nice because it allows you to be a little bit more freer, don't get locked into a lot of detail, and it creates this textural quality that affects the way the painting um, on the artist and the viewer. So it's a different type of sensation, and so you can connect with people in a different way. Obviously, there's a lot of different ways of doing this. Right now, I am working with this palette knife here, and trying to get these areas done here in the reflections. So I'm just trying to go weaving in and out of the right side here and trying to see what that area over here will reflect, how that will reflect over there. Right now, the vibration and the reflection is pretty good. There's not a lot of wind, so I can kind of get a good feel for it. Once the wind kicks up, it kind of distorts things. So you gotta, when you're doing water with reflections, you gotta rely on experience sometimes and memory, because it doesn't all. I know one thing down here in Litchfield, things don't stay the same too long. So you try to get as much done as you can, and just have fun in the process, and don't worry too much. Just kind of work intuitively, and you know trust your instincts and trust your experience as to how you're gonna make this happen.
Now, what is your experience? Where did you learn about this?
Well, I've been painting for a long time. I was an art teacher up north for 35 years, but I always painted landscaping. I started it back in college. No one was doing it. Of course, that tells you how old I am, but I'm not really that old. But so I was out painting a lot, and I started with pastels outdoors because they were very practical and very easy to carry. A little box of pastels and some paper, and taped to a piece of board, and you're off. This requires a little bit more gear, but at the same time, it gives you more flexibility, and it creates more. I like oil paint because it's very flexible. It's not acrylics dries a little fast, but acrylic's nice too. But oil allows me to. It just feels right when I'm putting the paint down. And I became attracted to oil painting outdoors, and one thing led to another, and there's nothing like painting outdoors. And the more I do this, it's an invention anyway. So you paint you use what's there to try to make a painting. That's what artists do. They're involved in the process of painting and making a painting. And a lot of people think that it should look like that, but it's impossible to make it look like that. So you have to interpret that and make your own painting, because it's an art. It's a work of art. So there should be imagination involved. There should be the process of creating. There should be your own stamp should be put on this. And over the years, when you work, your work starts to evolve. You use, like a palette knife and brushes, or just a brush, and so the materials is another thing altogether. But the main thing is to go out, see what's there, and take parts of what's there, so that you can come and put a work of art together, so that you feel good about. Not all of them come out good, obviously, but you want to be able to connect with other people. It's kind of a constructive way to communicate with people. It's nonverbal, so people talk about artwork, but it's okay. But this is people should look at it and take from it what they can, and try to enjoy what the artist was trying to say during his moment of being engaged in the painting.
Now, what are you trying to say?
Well, the painting process, it involves a certain amount of fundamental that you have to use. And it's like the beginning of the painting, you have to kind of determine where everything's going to go. And then you use the few fundamentals that you really need to think about. And it's like the values, this is lighter, that's darker. And you kind of get this whole feeling of it weaving through the painting. And then you can push yourself a little bit and try to bend the rules a little bit and maybe make things a little bit darker, a little bit lighter, a little bit brighter, a little bit greener, more orange in there. And that's the color part, because I like to be a little bit more expressive with color, and that's how I like to define things more. I like to make things a little bit brighter, maybe a little more purer. A lot of people like to paint gray. I have painted like that. I do have put some grays in there, but I'm more of a colorist that likes to push the color a little bit, so it makes a painting. It has to be interesting. That's very important. I mean, you can't make a painting if you're not interested in painting it, and for people have to be interested when they look at it. Otherwise they'll just go right by it.
Sure.
So you want to be able to make. I guess it comes down to how you want to put things together, what you're trying to say, how you're going to use your materials, how much you want to change or augment what's in front of you, and just overall try to keep things moving.
Sure.
Work a little bit on this side, then go over here. If you see something over there that's similar, put it over there, modify it a little bit, and just keep working around the whole thing. Don't try to, put something in there and just say, okay, I want to finish that little part down there before I do anything else. Just get it in there, indicate it, move on, keep going around. This rotational painting or cycling through a painting, that's how I work frequently. And so when I just keep moving, through the painting, and then when I get to a certain point, I just say, okay, this is good. I'm happy with what's there. I'll stop for a bit, walk away from it, and then maybe come back, but I usually finish things away from the scene. So that gives me time to, to not have to be overwhelmed by what's out there. And now it's just between me and this rectangle here. Okay, I might need a little bit over here. I'll have to move this around, make it a little brighter. But at the end of the painting, you don't want to have to say, why did I put this thing over here? It's not even right. If you get to the end of the painting and that's where you're at, like, oh, this is not right at all here, what did I do? Then you should have spent more time in the beginning of the painting figuring all that out before you
That's
get
interesting.
to that point.
How close are you to being done on this one, you think?
I would say I was just going to work on the reflections a little bit, and then take a look at the water and maybe break up the see, the wind came in a little bit now, so it's starting to change that over there. So time wise, I don't know, I never put a timer on what I got to do. When I feel comfortable that I've got enough in there that it says what I wanted to say, then I just put it aside.
Gotcha.
So it's like maybe writing. You're always making revisions. You're writing a small novel or whatever. You're making revisions constantly. It's the same thing in painting. Until you finally get it all kind of go back and forth, and until you feel as though this looks good. And like maybe a writer would say, I like how this flows. This chapter flows good. Let's go. So you keep moving around. It's a different art form, writing.
I love it.
It's the same, mentality of how you think. You're constantly in a creative path that you're trying to get toward the end. So,
do you sell it?
I sell paintings. Yeah, I sell them in galleries. And,
okay.
So
anybody ever just come by and just say, I want it?
Yes.
Do they really?
Yeah. I think people like to, some of the locals like to, buy the paintings.
Sure.
On the spot, because they just come by and all of a sudden they connect with it,
Gotcha.
So,
Do you already have a price on this one in your head?
Well, it all depends. I might bring it to the gallery.
Sure.
So
if you had someone come up here with a camera and want to buy it.
Well, 12, 16.
Gotcha.
Between, I don't know. It's hard to figure that out yet.
Yeah.
I'm not,
that seems
very
fair.
Gallery would probably be this size, probably between 500 and 600 in the gallery. So, somewhere around there. I would figure. Sometimes I bring it to the gallery and they might say, well, what we got, maybe you need something a little different. Maybe you need kind of just more openness instead of architectural. So
Sure.
it's hard. The art business. I try not to think about it when I'm painting
Mm-hmm.
because it can be very distracting.
Sure. What gallery can someone find your artwork, Michael?
I have paintings at the Gray Man Gallery, which
Okay.
is right up the road by Bistro 217. I also have paintings up at the Art Harbor Gallery in Georgetown. I just finished a show down at the Pawleys, so there's nothing there now. But also at the MISC, which is down in Merle's Inlet.
Right.
It's kind of a gallery boutique type of framing place there.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your
sure.
time with us here.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it sounds like you have plenty of galleries that people, if they're interested in your work,
Yeah,
and I'm sure they are, they can go get it.
Yeah, the two main galleries would be the Gray Man Gallery, which is right down in Pawleys, and the Art Harbor Gallery at Georgetown, and also at down in Merle's Inlet.
Great.
I have a website, so why don't you give me my
Sure.
like that?
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And you can look me up and
MichaelRoganArt.com.
That's correct.
Got it.
Yeah,
all right. I will.
be...
Thank you so much for your card, Michael.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you for spending time with us.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right. I love your art. You are so talented.
This is a different type of painting, but I'm feeling pretty good about it. It makes me feel like I'm getting closer to the scene here. I mean, someone may come by and it varies. For me, it's sometimes I'll be a little bit more, finicky with it. I'll get in it with a little brush like this one here, and start to, maybe put a little more work in, but not all the time. With this tool here, it allows me just to keep it fresh and keep it moving and be more suggestive. So instead of making, 4 windows, I'll maybe make no windows or 2 windows or 1 window, or instead of making this really blue down there, I make it more bright yellow just to give the painting a certain amount of vibrancy and visual impact. So there is fundamentals involved,
Sure.
But you got to go past that. For me, as a painter, now you get another painter down here and say, no, that's not. We're going to do it completely different, and that's what's good about this. Same thing with a writer, or it's just it allows each person to do their own thing in their own way, and that's what's great about the visual art. And that's one of the things I do when I teach class. I'm not teaching now. I was teaching Georgetown, but I have all the people in the class. I get a piece of paper and they have them put their signature on it, so that we get all the signatures together and we look at them and we say, can you see, each one of these signatures is different because that's your type of style, how you write your name. And as you paint, you'll develop a style, and it's inevitable. I mean, even if you're copying someone all the time and you're really hung up on something, it's inevitable, but your style, you'll evolve into your own style. It does take time, but it's always evolving too. My New England paintings are a little bit darker than these here because it's more contained up there. It's more, there's more trees that kind of go into fields and stuff. Here, a lot of things are wide open because it's flat and marsh-like. It's beautiful. There's no doubt about it. It's a different type of beauty, but to me, it's just, you make your adjustments wherever you go. You can paint up in Greenland, and then you just make your adjustments there. So every place is different. So,
but we thank you so much for sharing this with us, and
absolutely.
And make sure y'all check him out at those galleries, the Art Harbor, and also the Gray Man, and the one in Merle's Inlet as well. MichaelRoganArt.com.